The perfect task is something for me as being an agency owner and a PM in my past. It's something I research a lot and I have a lot of interest in it, so I would like to share my experience. This is not an academic session. It's more of my experience in dealing with tasks. So I hope you will enjoy it. I'm Amir, I'm from Israel. I'm the owner of Resonat. It's a small Drupal shop. We are doing Drupal for 9 years now. I also one of the community members in Israel. We actually organize a camp on Tuesday. So if you are spontaneous and you want to come to Israel on Tuesday, feel free. We will host you and give you a great tour in Jerusalem. I also volunteer. I'm teaching high school children Drupal for the last 6 years. It's great. It's a great experience for me. I think you should do it. It's the future of Drupal. They are very, very talented and motivated. And my main mission in life, I'm a father of 3 children and I have a great family. So a task is a strange creature which have a great effect of all the company, starting from each team member through the business aspects, that obviously the client and his business, his brand and his success. So for me, a task is something I take really seriously. I can imagine you also. And let's start with a small warm-up. So please raise your hand if you are dealing with tasks on a regular basis each day. So I guess all of you. And if you are not, you're very lucky. And please raise your hand if you write tasks and define tasks on your regular basics each day of working. And which one of you are managing or leading project during the daytime? Okay. Financing, accounting? Wow, okay. And finally, CEO or CTO. Okay. So obviously the most important task for me anyway, it's raising a family, and while working with tasks in my business, I keep in mind that a task is not only something which is technical or relate to the business only. This is something very big. And by understanding this, I also know that they can be very difficult. And we need to face them sometimes during different aspects of our life. And we will see in this session the different aspects. So let's meet the team. Yeah, here it's shown immediately and over there not. So we have a great team. We have great clients. And it seems like in this situation, we can create great projects, yeah? And it's always like this in the beginning, in the sales process. So you sell the project, everybody happy. You have a great team, you have great clients, so amazing. But let's jump into the task adventure, because the task is an adventure. It's have its own life cycle. And the first task for me is to prepare just a simple dinner for myself. Obviously, when I go and try to accomplish to deal with this task, it will be more spontaneous. Maybe I will not know what I want to eat. I might don't have the materials to make it, but I'm hungry, and sometimes I don't even have the time to make it. But the advantage is that it's only me. So I will be the one to eat, and finally I will eat something, maybe. Not this great salad. So the client is coming to us and he wants to have a page, and on this page you want the user to see all of his products. Okay, this is the request. It seems like a good request, a clear request anyway. And our team is just a developer, and the client is only the owner. So this is sounds like a very simple task, simple request anyway. But if we look deeper, so we can see that if we take this request into a task, because it's only the developer, so it's the relationship with the developer and the client, and what's coming out of it. So the task will be just to create a page, yeah, showing all the product. But then we have the assumptions and we have the questions, because it's never that clear. And sometimes not all the assumptions and not all the questions that we have being solved. And then we have a ping pong between the client and the developer, which costs time and costs money and have a big effect on the profit finally and the success of the client business. So we need to run through this assumption. Obviously, this is on all of the slides, this is just some of the assumptions, some of the questions. I guess you sit here and you have plenty more assumptions. But yeah, how will we? What will be the architecture of the page? We use Drupal. We can do it in plenty of ways. We can also do custom code. We can do it however we want. How will it look like? What will be the look and feel of the page? We don't really know because the client didn't tell us. So we need to question him or we need to decide. Which, in a funny way, we don't even know this because we don't have a process yet of questioning and defining the request. And we don't know many other things like how many products will be on the page, what will be the ordering, and the main question, obviously, is it even an e-commerce? Because we hear products, we immediately jump into e-commerce, but I remember a project which we work 50 hours and deliver it to the client, and the client say, hey, but I don't need e-commerce. It's supposed to be just a simple offline form which the client can send us a message. So we lost maybe 35 hours, I don't know. So let's have a look at this simple task. So we have the developer, we have the client, we have the request, and we have the test. And this is a cycle, a simple cycle like I told you before. And finally, everybody will be happy, or some sort of happiness. So let's jump to the second one. So in the second one, I want to prepare for myself a complex dinner. Now I love myself even more, and if I love myself even more, so I will achieve this complex dinner. I need to buy the materials, I need to prepare the tools, the kitchen needs to be ready for it. So it's more complicated, it takes more time, so I need to clear my time for it. But finally, I hope I will have this great dinner for myself. So now the clients want us to display the latest product, and he wants us to add this product to the cart. So in this case, we have two developers because it's more complicated, but we still have only the owner of the company, which might be a small company in this case. And if we go deep, so the task is now a little bit bigger. We need to create this page. We need to display the product in a certain ordering way, which we know about. And we know that we need to add a product to give the users the option to add a product to the cart. But again, we have assumptions, we have questions, we don't know many things about how this page is going to be. And this is, again, a back and forwards, okay? So we have, again, the architecture, we have the look and feel, we have a big one now, which is the user flow, What will be the user flow? Our main target, building a relationship with the client, is to help him achieve the conversion rate, which will help his business finally, which will come back to us. So, and obviously the egg and the kitchen register before or during. So if we look now at this task, it's a little bit more complicated. Obviously, what I'm showing here can be different, can be more complicated than this. This is just a simple mind mapping. But we do have two developers working with the client, getting the request, maybe talk between themselves, defining the task and the specifications, and there is a QA process and a test and a live process, so we grew up. Okay, so now I want to prepare a special dinner, romantic dinner, for me and my wife. So now it's way more complicated. I need a babysitter, I need materials, I need more time, it needs to be special, the wine needs to be exactly the wine that needs to be, and you know, it's obviously it's never the same wine that needs to be. And the client wants us to have, so he just buy in Amazon, and he wants us to have a page like Amazon with filters, and it needs to be a great experience, and it needs to work fast. So his user can find the products they want immediately and buy them. So the team is growing now. We have 3 developers now in the team, and we have the project manager, which needs to get it all together. And now we have in the client the editor of the site. It can be also a webmaster, it can be another owner, obviously, but we have 2 people talking with us, which makes things more complicated. So if we take the task now, it's not a single task anymore. It's a task divided into subtasks, and the subtask will be divided into more subtasks. So, but we know what we need to do. We know we need to add some search functionality and filter functionality to the page. We don't know which. We know we need to design the page. It needs to have a great UI. Again, in order to achieve the conversion rate. Again, we don't know how. And it needs to be fast. And obviously what fast is, because the client will say, I want the first page, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second, and you know. So again, we have a lot of assumptions, we have a lot of questions which we need to solve. Most of them will be solved. It will take time. We might not meet the deadline. And like in the keynote before, obviously it's important to make the documentation and the specification before, but it's not the case all the time. It's not the case all the time because now we have more people involved in this single task. Yeah, maybe it's a task with 10 subtasks, but we still have the developers, we have the client, and the client, now it's 2 people. Maybe only one speak with us, and then the other one bring the information to the owner, and there is a strange, weird ping pong going on, which we need to solve. We also now have a specification and design involved in the picture. So yeah, it's more complicated. Now I want to make a quick dinner for my family. It's the middle of the week. We don't have much time. It's evening time, so it's just, you know, a quick dinner, and everybody needs to go to bed. But we need to find the time. The children want to help me cooking, and it's great. I want them to help me. So we have a lot of surprises during making this dinner. But finally, the children will eat something. I don't know if they will eat what I want them to eat, they will eat something. And the client now wants to get a full information. He wants to get the data about the user, what the users are doing on this product page, because obviously he just jumped into the Google Analytics and he got this weird information which he don't understand, and he gets scared and terrified about the future of his business. So we want to get all this information, and we gather a team in order to do it, and the team is getting now even bigger and even complicated because it's different team members, different job titles, different department maybe also in the agency, and the project manager need to take this all together. And we also have a marketing person in the team because we have a marketing task and there is opportunities involved. The client also got bigger because the CMO of the company wants to be involved. Of course, he's the one which do the marketing, which is responsible for the marketing, and he needs to know this information, and he needs to know a great information. So if we jump to the task, again, this is not a single task, it's a task with a subtask, and we know that we need to prepare the website to get integrated into the chosen analytics tools that we are going to use. Maybe it's one, maybe it's two, sometimes it's even four. We know that we need to create, to help the clients and to create for him campaigns, and we are starting to have difficult questions, like, for example, should the client be able to create campaigns by himself? And how is the integration to the Drupal website which we create, or any website? Because we know that dealing with integration and custom code, sometimes it's more difficult to make it more generic. But we want to help the client. We want the client to be happy, the business to grow. So now we are dealing with serious, more complicated stuff like strategy plan with the client to make a better understanding about the budget, about the future, about his business. We also have questions like, should we implement, for example, A/B testing on the site? Most of the client will think you speak Chinese, but then they will understand the benefit, and then you need to do something with it. And more than this, we need to have a report process. So now we are dealing with major tasks, which takes more than 3 hours or 4 hours. And we need to make a report for the client. It needs to be on a certain day of the week, most of the time. We need to make a process for it. So things are getting complicated in the business, which is good. And it looks like this. And we have 2 new people. We have the salesman. Sales department is involved here because this is not a simple test that the client say, okay, I have many hours, I bought many hours, you can do whatever you want because it will take 2, 3, 5 hours. This is something that takes more hours. It's a sales process involved. It's again the specification and the design, and the SEO person is involved. And the last task is to make the best ever dinner for my family. And this is never happened, but we try. We try to do it, mainly on weekends, obviously, but there is only one thing that I can say about complicated tasks like this. It needs to be fun. It needs to involve great, because it's spread, it takes time, so there is a lot of spirit inside it. And we can see it later on the other slide. Anyway, now the team is very big. We have more developers, we have the designers, we have the PM again, and the sales. And the client now want to have a membership club on his website. And papam, he's coming with this great idea. He thinks it's the most simple task in the planet. That's what he wants. His business sometimes is not ready for this, but he wants it. And so the specification and discovery process is way more complicated. But we need to do it. Of course, he wants different kind of stuff, and I just gave you examples, but we know that he just bought yesterday from Amazon and bought this membership ticket, and he wants exactly the same tools and a membership zone and, you know, all this crazy stuff, which is great, but okay, so now again we have a complicated task. We need to first prepare the website for membership for users. This is different, more complicated entities. We have even more complicated design involved because membership zones are more complicated. We are talking about investing more in the UI and the UX of the site. We have the pricing system and all the notifications, and each one of them, again, can get a different architecture, different approach. We have many questions as how to do it. On this case, we also have another thing that we need to do. It's the edge cases. And the edge cases are an issue, a challenge for us, because sometimes we discover them only when we start to develop or only when we start to design. We don't catch them in the beginning, we catch them only after a few days, sometimes one day before the delivery. We get an edge case, we show it to the client, and the crisis is starting, and we need to deal with it. So the more specification, the specification needs to be obviously clear in order to see this before. Okay, there is another thing. There is the level of customization. We know the clients want to control all of his content of the site. This is easy, but he wants also to control flow and rules and so on. So now we need to deal with it, and it's almost like before. The process is almost like before. The capacity is almost like before. We just have another person coming from the client, which obviously make it way more complicated. Okay. So let's look at a brief look. Again, this is just an example. It's a small mini mind map, but it give a clue about a picture about it. So we have the task life cycle. So we have the task, we have the subtask, we have the roadmap to achieve this task, and we have the QA. We have the different type of tasks. We can add different elements. I don't know how to pronounce it exactly, but we can add duration, due, dependencies, assignee, and department to the tasks. And the more we make the task complicated and the more information we put on the task, it's like riding a road with all of these signs. So the more signs, it's harder to ride the road, and it can create more accident. So it depends which PM system do you use. Some of them are more generic, some of them are more simple. Okay, and let's have a look at the task lifecycle from the business aspect. So we have the request, we have the task, and then we have to make the specification. We need to discuss with the client about the budget and the estimation of the task. And it depends on your way of working. For us, for example, we are now in a non-estimation process and a discovery of the budget before. So it makes life easier for us, for the client. But it's not always the case. We have the roadmap, we have again the task itself, and we have the report of this task, we have the revenue, and finally we have the profit of the task, if we have a profit of this task. Okay, and of course, the tasks can be way, way more complicated with more people from the team, from different teams of the agency. The client can be bigger. If you integrated the site with third-party tools, sometimes you need to discuss with different people from Salesforce, Greenhouse, HubSpot, whatever. And it's getting more interesting. So looking at a task at Miriam, it's quite simple. Yeah, it's usually unassigned piece of work, often to be finished within a certain time. Yeah, easy. Something hard or unpleasant that has to be done. I don't like to think about a task like this, but sometimes we know our team think about a test like this. We have tests that we think about them like this. So thinking about all the things that makes the task so challenging, so complicated, so interesting. So for me, the first one will be the communication, and we will talk about it just in a second. There is the physical and mental condition, which have a lots of effect of the task life. We have the estimation part, which is a big part. I'm not going to talk about it, but we know what's estimation and their effects. Also the finance, they go together. We have the space and the culture, and loyalty and belonging. Obviously, we have more. So if we talk about communication, we need to remember that in order to achieve a good task, to finish the task in a good way, we must create good communication with our developers, with all the other team members, and with the clients, obviously. But we have big challenges. The main one is the character. So I'm a character, my developer is a character. Sometimes, no matter what we do, we are not connected to each other. So this is a big challenge. The second one is the basic relationship. So obviously, if you have a developer or a designer in your team, which is at your agency from the beginning, you're many years together, it's easier to communicate because you've been through many things. Expectation, it's one of the most important part of a task life. And I think our job is to build success all the time. And in order to build success, you need to put expectation in place. Never expect more than what the people that you are working with is doing, but obviously always pushing further, okay? But when you do it, put the expectation in place. Clarity, nothing is obvious. We take things in granted. This is part of our self-being, but nothing is obvious. Just a few days ago, we have this crazy, we are making a Drupal 8 website, and the client, we integrate it into Salesforce, and the model is not really ready yet, so my developer deal with field mapping, and then he write to me in the test comments a big, many lines, which I read them, and I didn't understand nothing. And for him, it was so obvious that I will understand it. And it was at the end of the day, we have 1 hour for delivery, the client is waiting, we are in Israel, he's in the United States, so we have this hours gapping, and I'm like, how come do you write a comment like this? You know me, you know I can't understand what you are writing, so please be more precise, give me an examples, give me links, and so on. Physical and mental condition, we intend to put it aside. I'm coming from an educational background. I work 8 years in education, and physical and mental condition is part of the work. It's never aside. We appreciate it, and I think we also need to do it when we do Drupal, when we do website or web. Nutrition is a crucial part of the life cycle of a task. We know that there is, okay, I can talk about it, I can give a full session about it, but it's important, and we see companies invent in it. We do it now, and we are a small agency. So I think, and we can already see, starting to see some results. Sleeping. So what do I care? You know, if my developers or my designers or my team members are sleeping, it's not it's their life, yeah? But it's a fact. And talking about it, you know, I can't tell them to sleep. I can't do nothing like this, but I can talk about it in the office. I can create a culture of talking about physical and mental condition, and obviously stress and illness. And I need to respect it because it's very important. Loyalty and belonging, how do we create it? It's very complicated to create. To the developer, the designers, the team members, our salary people, they want to make money. They want to bring salary to their house, to their families, whatever. This is the first target, and it's okay. The second one for us is to make them love and not, I don't know if love, have a sense of belonging to the company. I think transparency is one of the most important tools. I'm not talking about Buffer, for example, which shows everything. I'm just talking about, okay, this is our project, this is our client, this is what we work on. Don't be just on your task. See the whole picture. Delegation, the more delegation you give, you need to be careful, of course, but the more delegation you give, you get a more sense of belonging, meaning. This is hard. It's very hard, but if you manage to do it, it's great. Finally, the task will be better. Growth plan. Each one needs to have a growth plan. It can be 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, whatever, but you must have a growth plan. And if you don't have a growth plan for your team member, so they won't feel loyalty because everybody wants to grow, everybody wants to learn more. Some people are afraid of it, and this is expectation also come into place, but it's important. And help and support. Always help, no matter what. And it's bringing back to the taking granted. Sometimes people don't feel comfortable to say, it's hard, it's difficult, I feel bad about it. And we need to be aware of it, we need to listen, we need to look, and we need to help them. It's also, it's funny because all the things I'm speaking about also related to a discussion we have at the CXO about contributing back to the community. We think we cannot take people as granted and help them. So 5 tips for defining a better task, or more. When you write a task, try to create your surrounding to fit your condition. So writing a task is complicated. It's not easy. You need to do it in a good way, and in order to do it, the surrounding needs to be fit. It can be quiet, it can be noisy, whatever. Take the time. Sometimes we're in a rush, we need to finish things, so we write the task very fast and go on, and then go back and go back and go back, and the time we spend on writing this task will be way more than the time we will spend on writing the task from the beginning. I think it's not easy, but I find that when I write a task with my team members, and when my PM is doing it also, so it's way better. They are involved in writing the task, and then when they will arrive to the task one day, they will have a better understanding about the task. Again, don't take things as granted, so add details, examples, links, print, screen, whatever. And just, I don't know what's happened. Okay, just to say one more thing about it, I learn a lot from my team members, because when you are doing developing and doing designing or other job title in your company, so you know how to see things in a more clarity way, because you're focused on the task. And it's easier for the developers, way more easier for the developers or the designers to make the task more clear than the PM or the CTO or whatever, because they do it each day. So they know exactly what is a clear task. And always have a kick meeting. So yeah, find the time. I know it's complicated also, finding sometimes it's an unbillable time, but if it is billable, it's great. So another tool is task feedback, and we need to be brave to get a task feedback. Why do we want to do it? Obviously, we want to be better. It's an opportunity to learn about my team if they bring feedback to me. So I'm learning new stuff which I didn't know about. I also get a better understanding about the vibe in the office, in the space, which also sometimes it's just below my nose and I don't see it. And it helps creating a strong relationship. Of course, talking is better always, or just being, but feedback surveys are good. So tools to get feedback in a measurable way is there are many. I love task clearance rating. So we add a field for each task. So sometimes the developers and the designers and whoever can rate the clearance of the task. And then we get each month a statistics about it. You can also get a more wider statistics about how many times did you rewrite a task. So if you do it many times, it might say that the task is not clear. Not always, because sometimes tasks change. How many times did you reopen, and the amount of issues. And again, team periodic survey, and also for the client, which is a big step. Needs to be taken seriously and put a lot of effort around it. And also unmeasurable feedback. So stop by and ask, but really ask. So find the time sometimes to jump over, sit next to the developer or whatever, and ask him about the task. Ask the questions that you want to hear, but don't give answers. Just ask if you really want to hear the truth about how you write tasks. It's always better to show it to another team member. It's always better to show it to another team member, mainly from other department, not each task, obviously. Just to pick one task once a week or once in 2 weeks and show it to somebody else and ask him if it's clear and get a feedback. And again, this is more open questions to the client and to our team. Oh, and another important one is the language review, because sometimes we type mistakes, and sometimes the way we write, it's not logical, it's not good enough. If it's good, so everything is good, but it's a good thing to invest in it and send your tasks to a professional review. And finally, we talk about task, a single task, but we have many tasks. So for me, tasks are like butterflies. They have they have this huge effect about the business, about the team members, about the client. If a task goes wrong, we can see how it affects the deadline, how it affects the revenue and the profit finally of the business. How it affects the level of secure and success feeling in your team. How it affects the relationship with the client. And it's all around this single task that we do each day. So what is your today most important task? And thank you. That's it. And if you have so we have time for questions. If you have any question, I know it's a general discussion. So yes, please.
Do you have a dedicated process to start a project and to close it, and for the feedback you mentioned? If yes, how do you do that?
Yes, it's two processes merging together. So we have the process of starting the project and getting the information, and the discovery process, and the task writing. It involves technical specification and specification for the client, and then it's all goes down to the PM software that we use, and then we have a kick meeting. So there are more steps in this process. And the other one is a survey, which is far more complicated. I think you can make, now I'm in a process of making a new process of meeting, physical meeting with the team, and not only give the survey and they fill the survey or not or whatever. And there is a lot of great examples out there, but I find that I think you need to be very brave to do it. Sometimes I don't have the courage to do it. But when I do it, I see how much it gives back to the agency, to the company, to the client, and everything. So, yes, please.
Which of these tools, these techniques, have you implemented in your team and found to be the most effective?
It's a good question. I think the most important one for me is the way I look at how my team is working in order to complicate the task. So it's around culture, it's around belief and trust. And for me, it was a crucial part in my business. And what I discovered is that the more I trust and put more delegation to my team, so the tasks are being completed by themselves. So the team members always happy to take responsibility and to complete the tasks. And it's not like this process, it's a written process. It's not a written process. It's something related to being mature and the way you look at things. So for me, this was the major change and internal process, which I did. And obviously I have many things to make it better, and the future is complicated and fun, but yeah. Yes.
So, yeah, I really like seeing a lot of ideas, but like breaking it down to concrete examples would be really interesting for me. So maybe I can. So from our point of view, or from my experience, we've started adopting a lot of patterns from Scrum. So when you think about the user story, it's important to define the value so that the team understands why this task needs to happen.
Yeah.
And rather than coming up with very precise specification details, we try to formulate everything in acceptance criteria so that the team can decide for the best solution, and the team doesn't get like a ready-made solution to just implement, but we can leverage each developer's experience to come up with the best solution together. How does it work for you? My understanding is that you've been experimenting a lot with different strategies, and what's the way of, how do you exactly define a task?
So first, I think it's great to show the value and to discuss the value, and then the team can see, can really understand the reason behind the task or the request, and then the effort is bigger, the motivation is bigger. For me, the hard part is to find the time to do it. So day to day, it's very intensive. So sometimes tasks are just moving, and there is this process of writing the task in a way of which is more technical way most of the time. But when we have complicated tasks or requests, so we try to add the value and to try to show the big picture. We also have in our workflow, we have tags which describe the level of complexity and the level of discussion which need to be made. And using these tags, the team know not to jump straight to hands-on, but to wait, to think, to discuss, to see what's going on. And it's also coming down to a full analytics overview, so we can know which task is at the simple level or the complex level. But I find that it's very complicated to implement processes around this aspect, because it's each time it's unique, it's special, it's different. I don't know if it answers your question, but I do know that I said in the beginning that this session is like more, yes. So, thank you again. Yeah, we have one question here and one question here. Yes, please. It's okay.
All right. Do you have anything you might be able to share as like examples of these well, not now, but like post-session? Are you able to share templates, spreadsheets, things like that with us?
Yeah, I will be happy to. I have two templates which I will be happy to share. One is the sales process, which also help us to manage the task later, because we have this crazy spreadsheet. I will be happy to share it with you, which help us defining and make the specification better, and also the estimations, and it's gather all the idea together. And also we use Rike as a project management tool, because we find it very simple to use, fast, but also generic. So we add fields to fields which we find important to task, and also the ability to see big pictures. with from all of the projects. So if I will find more things, I will add to my page. Okay, thank you. It was great. Thank you.